morning, buenos días, bom dia, good afternoon, buenas tardes, boa tarde, good evening, buenas noches, boa noite. Whenever it is that you get to see this, my name is Miss Adri, and I am here to teach you some stuff, and welcome to this week's edition of Spanish Sundays. So on today's edition of Spanish Sundays, we are going to talk about a word that is very sad, and it has to do with the news that broke on Friday that the actor Chadwick Boseman, also known as King T'Challa from Black Panther, passed away. And the only thing I could think about when I read of his passing was of tristeza. So that is why tristeza is our word for this week. If you had not guessed by now, the word tristeza means sadness, or to be sad, or to feel sad. And it comes from the Latin word tristis, which is the derivation of like feeling unpleasant. It could also come from the Lithuanian word, or it could be influenced by the Lithuanian word tristas, which means cloudy, or the Anglo-Saxon term, and I'm going to try to pronounce this right, Arustru, which means darkness. And I think that these are pretty close to how we feel whenever we feel sad, whenever we are triste, which is derived from the word tristeza. Um, we feel cloudy, we feel darkness, we feel into the abyss sometimes. So, yeah, I think that darkness and cloudy are pretty good descriptions of tristeza. Why did Miss Adri pick tristeza? Well, that's what Miss Adri is feeling. The news of Chadwick Boseman's passing was extremely surprising to me. The last picture of his that surfaced, I think it was a couple of months ago, he looked extremely thin. And like many people, I thought, oh, he must be preparing for a role that, he has to look gaunt, he has to look so skinny. And all I could say was, oh gosh, with this pandemic happening, oh, I hope he gets a role soon because he's such a fantastic actor. And then on Friday, when I saw the news of his passing, I can't even begin to explain this sadness, the tristeza that ran, it ran all over me. Because like many people, when we saw him in Black Panther, well, really in one of the Captain America movies, but in his movie, it was eye-opening and it's such a good movie. But not just that. When Black Panther came out, I was working at a school where I had a lot of children that they are Black. I live in Puerto Rico. We are a mix, and we have people that are light skinned, like myself, and we have people that are dark skinned, and we have people that are a little bit of in between. We call them people that their complexion is the color of café con leche, but they are Black. And the coming out of that movie was very special because many of these children saw these superheroes that are white. They are whiter than I am, shall we say. And they loved them and they thought that they were fantastic. But deep down inside of us, we are always looking for representation. And when Black Panther came out, all of those children saw Chadwick, saw T'Challa, and said, me. They saw the women that surround him, the warriors of the Dora Milaje, and they were like, they're a bunch of badass girls. I'm a badass girl too. And it made an impact. And there are millions of videos of children, adults, T-shirts, actors, the director of the movie talking about the impact that this movie had on society, shall we say. And it impacted me. It impacted me so much. It became one of my favorite movies. And not only that, it impacted me as an educator because it made me happy that I saw that children that looked like the characters on screen were represented. And whenever I saw the movie, because I've seen it a whole bunch of times, I felt this sense of this is bigger than what people think. And I was so excited when I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I did hear that there was a Black Panther 2 in the works, which made me so happy because all I could think about was, oh my God, Chadwick, he's the king now. He's amazing. Angela Bassett, who played his mother, Lupita Nyong'o, who played his love interest, and um, the other actresses that played the lead in the Dora Milaje, I forget her name. Danai Gurira, I think that's her last name, and forgive me if I mispronounced it, but I know it is Danai. And his little sister, Letitia Wright. All I could think about was, oh my God, yes, more representation for the kids out there, more representation of what colonialism did not do because Wakanda is a representation of what would or could have happened in Africa if there had not necessarily been colonialism. And it sounds strange, perhaps, for my audience that, you know, don't know, but as a person that lives in a colony, one of the oldest colonies in the world, a movie like that is very impactful because it strikes our nerve in us. It strikes a nerve in me because it's like, holy crap, this is what could have happened. Holy crap, this is a reality of not only Africa, but it is also a reality of Latin America. That is why it impacted me so much because this movie was not just representation for children and adults that are black. It is a representation for all of us that are not quote unquote white, that we are not European. It is a representation for all of us that still live in a colonial system or are product of a colonial system or their history is from a colonial system. And it was very impactful. And then, of course, Chadwick was just, I mean, how can we not talk about the impact that he had, not just by representing all these beautiful children that didn't necessarily have as much representation as they deserve, because that is a reality of Hollywood, but it's also a representation of a leader, of what a good leader is. And not only that, the man was so humble. The man was, I would say, definitely in the top of actors. And so many doors opened for him. He had so much talent. But besides that, being ridiculously talented, the man was so humble. You see videos of interviews, you see pictures of him, and he was a man of his people. He was a man of his fans. And sadly, in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry, a lot of people, when they make it, they forget who they are. They forget where they come from. They forget the struggle that it was to get where they are at that moment. And you can tell that he was not one of them. And it is so sad that he was battling with colon cancer for 4 years. 4 years, which means that when they were filming Black Panther and the Infinity War saga, this man was battling through cancer, and he was a badass through and through. And it is just a huge, huge loss, not only for the entertainment community, but it is a huge loss for anybody in 2020 that gets it, that gets really what that man represented. He is the leader that many of us wished we had in our own country. He is the leader that was fair, that was relatively just. Of course, he made mistakes. If not, there would not have been a story. But just the presence of seeing somebody like that, and for people that are not, shall we say, quote unquote, the common beauty standards, seeing a man of color, a person of color, being a king, that's big. That's huge. And I know that this has been kind of a rant, but I don't care. It's my channel, and I need to teach you something. And I need to teach you all that tristeza is very important, because that is what I'm feeling right now, because it is a huge loss for so many of us that get what that representation of Wakanda actually was. Because as I said, it's not just a representation of Africa and all of the horrible things that happened in Africa thanks to colonialism. It is also a representation of Latin America and all of the things that could have happened had we not been part of a colonial society. And many people might argue, oh, but you wouldn't have this, you wouldn't have that. Maybe we wouldn't have moved as fast as Europe, sure. But the Aztecs, the Maya, and the Incas, three of the greatest civilizations in the Americas, constructed marvels, constructed things that still survive today. What is to say that we couldn't have been that? What is to say that there couldn't have been a Wakanda here in the Americas? Nobody can say that. That is why Black Panther, and that is why Chadwick Boseman's representation was so important to me. That is it for this week's episode of Spanish Sundays. I hope you didn't mind my little rant too much, but I'm a firm believer that whenever we are feeling things, we need to express them one way or another, and this was my way of expressing it. So my name is Miss Adri. I hope that I taught you some stuff. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. If you want, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Everything will be in the next page. And, I hope that this sad death is a lesson for a lot, that one person's impact, one person can make a huge difference in representation of what many people dream of being. I'll see you next time.